Hello, everyone. Today I am going to be interviewing Dan Schmitgal. He is a med surg nurse in the Navy. So, welcome, Dan. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Awesome. And he just got to Sigonella, Italy. So, I'm interviewing him from his hotel room, and he can tell you all about that during the interview if he would like. But the first question I have for you, Dan, is what was your nursing experience before commissioning as an officer in the Navy?
In short, absolutely not. I am one of the proud many who joined the Navy as a brand new nurse. So, brand new to the Navy, brand new to nursing. Before that, I did have some healthcare experience. I did work as an EMT for about 5 years before I actually joined the Navy. So, I got some good experience there. But that is what kind of led me down that path towards nursing in the first place. And yeah, no regrets. It's been an awesome ride with the Navy.
Nice. How did you hear about the Navy? And then what made you want to join?
So my brother's in the Marine Corps. He's been in for about 12 years now. So he, his experiences, honestly, and everything that he talks about kind of pointing me towards that direction. I knew that there was a big part of me that wanted to serve in some capacity, that wanted to put on the uniform, so to speak. And I knew I'd regret it if I didn't do that at some point in my life. So I saw an opportunity as I was going back to school for nursing and trying to get that degree going. I realized that the Navy might actually have opportunities to not only pay for school, which it did, but also to kind of get me into a space of a pretty unique form of nursing that you might not otherwise get if you stay on the civilian side as a nurse. So for me, both of those things in combination, the uniqueness of the situation and the Navy potentially paying for it and having the opportunity to serve those who are currently serving in the healthcare field, all three of those combined. And I said, there's no way I can not at least try and pursue this. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What program did you use to join the Navy? Were you like a direct commission or did you use like Navy candidate program?
Sure, yeah. So I joined with NCP, the Nurse Candidate Program. I was one of quite a few. I think it's a pretty popular program in the Navy from the people that I've spoken with. But yeah, it was great. It's you put in a package as you're initially applying for the Navy. It's all kind of wrapped into your experience, kind of moving in, going to MEPS and doing interviews and kind of working with the medical recruiter to get everything in order. But yeah, once you put it in, really all the requirement is you got to meet all the requirements for becoming an officer in general, and then meet the requirements for choosing an accredited bachelor's degree program for nursing. And once you check both those boxes and you put in the package, yeah, you just kind of hope and pray and say, hey, maybe they'll choose me. And they did. And it was awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, what was your first duty station? And please describe your experience and how your transition was from civilian life.
Okay. So first duty station was Naval Hospital, Camp Pendleton. Uh, I loved it. I thought it was a great duty station. You can't beat the location. As a native Californian, I got really lucky getting that slot. So no complaints there. Um, in the beginning, I kind of came in towards the tail end of COVID. So in addition to having a couple opportunities to go out into other states and kind of help out with that, it was kind of a unique situation to be coming in both as the new to the Navy and a new nurse. It was a little bit slower than the pace would be now on the ward. I got placed right into the med surg ward, and yeah, I had a great bunch of preceptors and mentors on our ward, some great lieutenants, some fantastic JGs that I am so lucky to have had them as mentors and leaders on the ward when I first showed up. They showed me everything from which direction is up to where the bedpans are located, and I definitely needed it when I first showed up. So I got lucky in all respects with as with everything in the Navy, it's all about timing and luck. And thankfully, I had both that time. So
Yeah, I agree. I think everything in the Navy is about timing. You can have all these goals and aspirations, but it's like you have to line things up, unfortunately, or fortunately, with where your career's at. Yeah. Um,
I learned it takes a lot of foresight. That's for sure. You gotta be planning for plan A, B, and C. And if you don't, yeah, it can be a little
yeah.
risky.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us about like specifically your path to med surge nursing. Like when you first got to Camp Pendleton, is that what you wanted to do, or you were just put there?
So more or less, I was put there. It seems to be a pretty common thing with a lot of first commands as a brand new nurse that I think there is some dialogue that you can have with the DNS at whatever hospital, and I did at this hospital at Naval Hospital Camp Pendleton
Mhm.
ahead of time, just saying, "Hey, this is my background. These are my goals. This is what I want to do." And I think in general they try and honor that as much as they can, but for the most part, it seems like you go kind of immediately into the med surg world, either in the postpartum side or the actual med surg ward side. And
Mhm.
yeah, I showed up and they said, "Hey, you're going to go to the med surg ward," and I said, "Great, that's awesome." That's what I precepted in at the end of my nursing school. I was on a med tele floor at Kaiser. I love that experience. So for me, just slipping right into that was kind of a continuation of the education that had already started. So I was
Yeah,
pretty fortunate.
that's awesome. Yeah. And then I know this is kind of hard for you to answer right now because you're transitioning into another role, but what did a normal workday look like for you when you were in Camp Pendleton?
So a normal workday for me, this is kind of a two-part answer because I was in two different departments while I was at Pendleton. So for the first year, it looks like I would have a kind of a block schedule where it'd be 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 3 off, and so on and so forth over a 2 week period. And yeah, it would be a 12-hour shift. So for me, that would mean getting up somewhere right around 5:30. I was living in Carlsbad at the time, so commuting to work, which is pretty easy up in North County, San Diego. It's a great spot. Just commute to work about 15 minutes or so, and then yeah, kind of get ready for the day, get in, put on scrubs, get report from the off-going team, and then proceed about my normal nursing duties for about 12 hours. And yeah, usually report turnover would be about over anywhere from 15 minutes to a half hour, depending on what was going on. And I continued on that way for about a little over a year, maybe 15, 16 months. And then I had the opportunity to move over to a different department. So they had an opening over in the PACU, and I had expressed interest in kind of moving into the peri-op side of the house. They said, okay, I got pulled over, which was awesome. They had a great divo over there, Lieutenant Commander Hart. That whole side of the house was a whole new experience. I loved every second of it. And that turned into a 5-day-a-week job. So it every week was different. I was on a different kind of slot throughout the day. Every week I was either an opener, so I was there sometime between either, let's say, 5:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. right in that block, or I was a closer, so then I was going to be there till 7 p.m. and I started somewhere around 10 a.m. kind of a thing. So a great setup, great work-life balance, 5 days a week, and then we were on call just for recoveries after hours. But other than that, PACU was a great time.
Yeah, I think PACU is like the way to go sometimes.
It really is.
The hours are awesome.
Oh, it was the best. Oh man.
All right. Do you have any deployment experience?
I do have a collective total of one deployment under my
Nice.
belt so far. I had the great privilege of working with an awesome senior nurse officer, an awesome snow, Miss Estella Rojas. uh, and yeah, it was a great time. We went to Djibouti. It was unlike anything that I had done so far in the career. We were split up into our four nurses, our OR, ER, Med Surg, and of course ICU. And what was kind of fun is I feel like in a lot of ways we shared a lot of the responsibilities, a lot of the day to day. We all had our own separate collaterals, our additional duties for the folks at home. But what's great about deployment is everyone was responsible for the success of the EMF. Everyone was putting in the work when it needed to be put in. As you are aware, I took most of the time was spent on the shift with sick call, which I loved. I still liked it at the end. I was still doing it right at the end before I left, and it was a great time. We saw a lot of patients roll through every branch: Space Force, Air Force, Army. Dealt with a lot of kind of normal primary care things, maybe some urgent care things, with an occasional sprinkling of some emergencies, a little bit of trauma stuff. And I had the great opportunity to learn a lot from some amazing mentors on that trauma team. And even after the best team left, aka your team.
Don't say that too loud. They might be watching.
No, both teams were great. Both teams were great.
Yeah.
Both teams were awesome. Even after you guys left, to tell the truth, the team that came in and replaced you guys were awesome, second to none. Yeah, the whole team was great. I could not have been happier with the providers that we had, and I could not have been happier with the nurses, both with you guys and with the other three that ended up working with towards the end. So it was
Yeah.
a great time, very unique experience. I got to travel a little bit in Africa, so we got to tack on a little bit of traveling in there and
Yeah.
a little bit of fun. And yeah, hopefully I'll get another one under my belt.
Yeah, I do want to make a point here. So you're
Sure.
a med surg nurse and you did PACU and then you deployed to Djibouti, Africa, where you learned how to really like see patients, primary care, as you said, like some ER, some trauma. So I think that right there is it's an amazing experience because it's like where else would you have gotten to do all of that type of thing, and like interact
Absolutely.
with so many different people from different services, and we even had contractors out there. So what I love about you is your attitude. Like, if anyone knows Dan, like he has a great attitude. He just is open to all the experiences. And I think that's one key thing that you need being a Navy nurse because you might be put in different situations, right? Where it's not your primary job, but you have to learn it and kind of go with it. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It's totally unique.
Absolutely. All right, what are you most proud of from your time in the Navy, and are there any experiences that stand out?
Honestly, I think the moments that I'm most proud of are kind of the smaller ones. The moments of just, having a chance to sit down with a corpsman and go over some skill that maybe they don't feel as comfortable with, but you're super comfortable with, giving tips and tricks on IVs or administering IM injections or how to properly go about medication administration, going over the rights, going over things that were hammered into our heads in nursing school and hammered into our heads on the ward that junior sailors might not know about, that might not have experience with, and getting to see their clinical progression is second to none. But even beyond that too, it's the other, quote unquote small things is something as easy as just advocating for a patient on the phone to a doctor. When you're a brand new nurse in the Navy, you've suddenly been thrust into a world where not only are the doctors giving the orders medically, but sometimes quite literally they are giving orders that you need to execute with the weight of rank, which is a very unique experience. And
Mhm.
so having the presence of mind to either question or work with doctors on what orders are being put in, or even other nurses, what they're doing with their patient, I wish I would have known how much your usefulness to the Navy as a nurse can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, in that I got into the Navy as a nurse to be used flexibly, to be as flexible as possible, to be put into environments that are not as comfortable but are very unique, get really stretching the limit of what it means to be a med-surg nurse, and getting experiences just like we had in Djibouti, or just like I had when I did a short little COVID task here, or even out here in Sigonella. There's a lot of variation what I've been able to do as a med-surg nurse, and I think that flexibility is what makes it great. But I could also see how some people might be frustrated with the idea that a nurse is a nurse. Sometimes I think that term gets thrown around a lot. I won't say a lot, but sometimes it gets thrown around where nurses can be utilized very flexibly, sometimes to the detriment of their own personal life or their time at home, or in ways that are a little bit outside of the comfort zone. And I think it does take a presence of mind to be aware of that and to make sure that you're doing everything that you need to be as safe as possible with your patients. But 99% of the time, everything's fine with it. It's good to go. But there are some moments where you can be used flexibly. There's no other way to put it. So yeah, definitely wish I'd known that.
Yeah. And so it's good, like, to tell people that before they're joining the Navy, right? It's just be like, hey, it's not going to be like your normal 12-hour shifts. Like, yeah, overall, when you first start, yeah, you'll be put into like the hospital to work shifts. But like you said, you're in the military. They can pull you, the infamous can pull you
Okay. Yeah.
to, I don't know, work a COVID task, or go work as an administrative type of job, or they need you to become a BLS or ALS instructor, So yeah, I think that's good for people to know as they're making the decision on if they want to join or not. Last question. Do you have any words of wisdom for those who may be thinking about becoming a Navy nurse, other than what we just talked about?
The first thought that comes up is something we've already said, but honestly, if you like the idea of being a nurse in places that you never otherwise get to go, then I think the Navy is for you, 100%. If you think you are 100% in love with one type of nursing specialty, for instance, that you want to be an L&D nurse and you only want to be that, maybe the Navy might not be the perfect fit. Because if you only want to do that, then that's a little bit of an inflexible attitude, and that might not take you as far as you could go in the Navy otherwise. The number one thing that I've seen so far in my short career is that the people that are most flexible in their attitude and can adapt to their responsibilities with a good attitude, they are the people that are going to go furthest, and they always are amazing nurses, always. Because they're flexible in their daily life, they're flexible with patients, whether they're, whether there's a patient that's super stressed and they're taking it out on them, or it's some other part of the healthcare team that's rubbing someone the wrong way. One way or another, if you're flexible, the Navy is the place for you, and you reap the rewards of that. If you're flexible, you get to be put into opportunities that you would never otherwise get put into. So I would say if you're considering it and you can be flexible, do it 100%.
Great. Well, that's all I have. Thank you so much, Dan, for taking the time to tell us all about your Navy Nurse Corps journey. And to the viewers, thank you all for watching and supporting my channel. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and keep working towards your dreams. I'll see you in the next video.